Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know, my name is Dana, and on this channel we are all about SMS beauty, which is skincare, makeup, sunscreen, ta-da! We do talk about sunscreen quite a lot, and again today is all about sunscreen. This video has been a long time coming, and I envision that I will probably make these every so often, at least once a year. I could see maybe every 6 months, but I'm gonna say like every year, just because I don't think my taste changed that drastically within like anything less than that, but who knows. Anyway, if you couldn't tell from the title, we're doing basically like what are my top choices for each sunscreen category. I get asked, you don't even know how many times a day, like, what's your favorite sunscreen? And I love the question because of course, like, I appreciate that people come to me for that. But it's a nuanced question. Like, you can't just ask me what's my favorite sunscreen. It doesn't work like that to me. To me, sunscreen is so dependent on so many factors. So, like, what's the weather like? What's my skin like? You know, they're just a lot of things. What am I doing? All these things. So I thought it would be a little bit more helpful if I just kind of broke down by category. And I have a board over here, so I'm going to be looking over there sometimes. I was like, oh, like I'll just have a few categories. And I ended up with 13. So yeah, I'll have it all time-stamped below. So if you're looking for a certain kind, look to the timestamps. Hopefully that covers, I think, about everything. So if you do ask me what's my favorite sunscreen for this in this category, I may answer it, or I may just say, hey, go look at timestamp, blah, 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 blah. So let's get into it. If you're not already subscribed, do so below. Join the family. We'd love to have you. And give it a big ol' like if you do enjoy it. All right, the first one, glowy. Now this one, I actually broke it up into a few more categories because I have glowy and then I have, what do I say, shimmery. So I do think that they're different. And the reason I say that is because one is glowy, like lit from within glow, whereas one is actual like shimmer particles, and they do look a little different. And sometimes you're just looking for one versus the other. But for my ultimate glowy sunscreen, and I really think of glowy as in like you have dry skin and you want glowy skin. Now, if you have normal or oily skin, you can use pretty much anything, because especially nowadays, that's kind of the fashion to have a glowy sunscreen or have a glowy base. So this one is a little bit more targeted to people with drier skin, just because it can be harder to get that glow. But my number one option for that, at least in America, is the CoTz Flawless Complexion Tinted. This is a mineral sunscreen. This stuff, if you need moisture and long-lasting moisture, it's this. I love it also because it's tinted, so it can fit on lots of different skin tones. It's also mineral, so if you have more sensitive skin, that often works better for you. It goes on like a dream. It's just a really great sunscreen. I can't use it more than just in the winter because I do have more like normal, sometimes combo skin. So for me, this is quite heavy. I would never wear it in the summer, but on those really dry, like bone chilling, windy days, this is it. Okay, I guess we should just go to the shimmer, because you want to know like, I don't want glowy, but I want like a shimmery kind of almost like makeup look to it. So I actually have 4, and you'll understand why when I get into it. But I already did a video on this, and I will link it above because it should be up. But my 3 options are kind of all these, and it's really based off of your skin tone. I think each one will really work for a different type of skin tone. So we have the Supergoop Glow Screen. That's going to be for your light, like fair light skin tones. And then in the middle we have the Sun Bum. This one is going to be for your light medium, sometimes tan. And then we have the K-Skin, what is this called? Isle Glow. And this one also can be like medium, tan, and then darker skin tones. And so the reason I say all 3 of them is because I do love all of them. I just think kind of dependent on your skin tone, you'll choose one and it should work. I did want to add one other though, which it doesn't really have like the shimmery glow, like the shimmer particles like the others do, but it doesn't really also operate kind of like the CoTz one. And this is the Tula Protect and Glow. This one will give you that like real shiny glow, but I don't think it does as good a job of actually moisturizing your skin like the CoTz does. So it's gonna give you that, but it's like a toned down version, although it's still quite glowy. But it's just another option to kind of throw in the mix. Okay, so why don't we go from one end to the other and we'll go to matte. So if you've watched any of my videos in the past, you know the Bliss Block Star is one of my absolute favorite sunscreens. This is a drugstore option. I think it's about $20. You can find it on sale. Readily available at Target. It is a dream to put on. It kind of doubles as makeup in a lot of ways. I just find that the tone of it is really nice on my skin. It doesn't necessarily work on all skin tones, but I do think that it's a really great option. It's another good option if you do have sensitive skin. My only downside, and I always tell everybody about this, is that it is pretty highly fragranced. It smells of lavender. I think it smells wonderful, but it's an essential oil, so, you know, kind of dicey for some people's skin. Now, the other option, if this does not work for you, is another kind of like mid-range one, the CoTz. You know, I think I have a video on me hating on CoTz, and I don't know what changed for me. Maybe like I just learned a little bit more, but CoTz is a really, really great brand. And this is kind of like the alternative to the Flawless Complexion. If you have dry skin, you want that glow. If you have oily skin and you want it matte, this is your option. And both of them are mineral, really great options for sensitive skin. And this is just, it goes on, you know, when they are mineral, they are gonna have a little bit more like that silicone-y feel, but they both just go on so easily and they kind of blur out any imperfections. You could use it almost as kind of like a makeup product or a really, really good base for makeup. This one is a really hard one, and I'm looking at my board. This is just the mineral option. Obviously, I've already talked about 3 mineral sunscreens, and if you want anything that like kind of resembles what I was talking about, those are really good options. But I think my all-time favorite mineral sunscreen has to be the LiveTinted. I don't have it at the moment, just because it's really hard to repurchase an item when I really don't obviously need any sunscreens. But if I were just gonna buy one mineral sunscreen, it would probably be that. Because I think with the LiveTinted, it's going to fit almost every skin tone. Just wonderful with the orange tint. It also can kind of like be whatever you want it to be. If you want it to be glowy, just load up on your moisturizers, your skincare. If you want it to be more matte, it will dry down eventually. It's not gonna be like as matte as the Bliss or the other CoTz, but you can kind of manipulate it based off of your skincare base. So I just love it because it is so accessible to so many people and it's somewhat affordable. I think it's like $32. It's usually out of stock, so if you ever see it, go ahead and get it because so many people love it and they're not wrong. I know it was in my top 5 from 2021. I don't think I did them in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 order, but it's a beautiful, beautiful sunscreen and I 100% stand by it and tell so many people to go get that one. The other one, I'm a little hesitant to recommend it, but I also do think it's worth recommending, and that is the Tatcha Silk Screen. This is their new sunscreen. I did a video on this a few months ago. I'll link it above. And this is a truly fluid, beautiful, easy mineral sunscreen that goes on so, so easily. Very similar to the LiveTinted. And I think the key to having a really nice mineral sunscreen is often, not always, the fluidness of it. If it's heavy and chalky, it takes a little bit more rubbing. It can have more of a cast. Obviously, if it's tinted, that's not so much of an issue, but just the fluid nature of it is unique. And this is a truly, truly beautiful sunscreen. Now, my issues with it are twofold. One, it's $60, which is absurd. And the second one is I've noticed I didn't notice actually. Somebody actually reached out and told me that theirs had like the packaging, I guess, has started peeling off. And I was like, that's odd because mine looked okay. And so then I took a closer look and there is like one little speck here. And so I showed her a picture. I was like, yeah, I guess mine is too. And she was like, oh, that's how mine started. So I'm anticipating that this is all gonna crumble off, which sucks because you paid $60 for something. Like the packaging should be better. This is just plastic, it's not fancy. Like they paid for the custom shape, but they didn't spend any money on like actual like quality product or, you know, packaging. It also sucks because she was saying that as she used it, the little specks were coming off on her hand, which it actually like is getting in the way of the product. I don't really care if I can't see the name. I know this is the Tatcha one, but I do think that's not great. I know Tatcha is probably going to refund her or give her like something else. So I hope they get it solved, but you know, that's two downsides to something that is really, truly beautiful. Okay, next up we have, I'm gonna call it K or J Beauty. Now this is a really hard category. So this one may change, my opinion may change here, but I wanted to give two options. One that is just kind of like your everyday, a little bit dewy, but not so dewy, but just like so easy. This is the Isntree Hyaluronic Acid Watery Sun Gel. Oh man, when I put it up in the light, like I can see how much I have left, which is not much. It's just easy. There's no like weirdness to it. It goes on so like skincare. You just can't do wrong with this. And I know so many people love it, so I think that it's not gonna be irritating for a lot of skin types. SPF 50, PA+++++. I always wonder if I'm counting the right number of pluses, but 4. It's just easy. And the reason I say this category is so hard is because there are so many Korean and Japanese sunscreens that go on similarly. I just find that this one is, I think it's very affordable. I can't remember the price, but it's just kind of one of those ones that I always end up reaching for. Now, the other one is the Hello Sunny. Nobody ever talks about this. I can't remember if it's in stock. I feel like the last time I went to look for it, I couldn't find it. So if it isn't in stock, I apologize. If it is, of course, I'll link it. But this one I like because it's a little bit more matte. And I don't always find that with Korean or Japanese sunscreens. I think that a lot of the times a little bit more watery, but not in a bad way, like dew light. But the Hello Sunny does go on more matte. And I used to use it, well, before I ran out, I used the whole thing up. I used to use it as like my pre-workout sunscreen because I need something that like actually sets down on my face so I don't sweat it off. And that one was the perfect option. So I know there are a million others and I apologize. That was a really hard category. And I have more sprinkled throughout, so we'll keep going. Okay, I guess these two are both Korean and Japanese. This category I call sport for obvious reasons. I work out a lot. I work out like 5 to 6 days a week. So I need a sunscreen that I can depend on. If I'm going on a run, if I'm working out outside, I just need it to be there and not sweat it off. I do not use mineral sunscreens when I'm working out. That's just me. If you use them, that's fine. But I just find that I sweat them off. So why do that? But instead, I really do like reaching for a Korean or Japanese sunscreen because I feel like I'm getting a good level of protection, but also just a breeze and easy to put on. So the two options I have look very similar and are covered in cat hair. No surprise there. The first one is the CNP Fluid Outdoor Sun. So this one is truly, out of all the Korean sunscreens, this one is really meant for outdoor use. Whereas like the Isntree, this is really like an indoor sunscreen, and a lot of the Korean beauty sunscreens are more intended for like indoor or outdoor. Whereas in America, it's kind of a little bit more fluid. But this one is truly outdoor. It's waterproof. It goes on clear, invisible on all skin types. It's chemical. They do have better chemical filters in Korea and basically anywhere that's not America. You get quite a bit. This is 80 milliliters, SPF 50 plus, and then 4 PAs. So very high protection. It's just beautiful and it's not expensive. I mean, I forget exactly, but I tried to do a haul of Korean sunscreens that were like reasonably priced, and that one was in it, so I can, you know, safely say it's not too expensive. Then we have my beloved Shiseido Ultimate Sun Protector Lotion. This is my second bottle. The only other one that I think I would consider rebuying is the LiveTinted at this moment. I bought the smaller size, which is still, I mean, this is what, like 50 milliliters, 1.7 fluid ounces, but it looks so small and like travel friendly. This one, I don't know why I smelled it. It does have a like really nice smell though, I guess. It's, again, it's very, very similar. They also have like the same packaging, but this one, it's just an all-around great sunscreen. If you are working out, you're sweating, you're in a hot climate, it gives you a nice glow. I've never had eye sting from it, but that's not to say that you won't. You know, I can't predict what other people will have or what they won't. It's just incredible, and I always reach for it when the summer is here, which is why I repurchased it, because I was like, I know I'm gonna be sweating, I'm gonna be in Florida soon. I need to get something that really holds up in the sun and the sand and the water. I don't know why I said sand, but you know what I mean. So waterproof to the nth degree. It's really, really made for that. And this is what I would recommend to most people if they need something waterproof. Now, this is another category. I'm just gonna give you one option because it's really, really hard to like find the right one for each person, because the category is under makeup, like best under makeup. Now, it kind of depends on what you want your skin to look like. Like, do you want glowy skin? Do you want matte skin? All those things kind of dictate it. So take it with a grain of salt. If you already heard one that you might like, usually it's gonna work well under makeup. But as a true like makeup primer, it's gotta be the Unseen from Supergoop. Now, I don't love all Supergoop sunscreens. Actually, this is my favorite, I think. But this is a true primer in the sense that it has a super silicone-y feel. It's invisible, goes on very clearly, and is gonna kind of fill your pores and give you like a little bit of an airbrushed look. It also is just so easy to apply. I worry that people don't apply enough because it is so silicone-y. You don't want to apply too much because then it feels a little like greasy. But for the most part, I think it's gonna work really well for most people under makeup. Now, of course, if you want a super glowy look, this is not gonna be it. This gives you a little bit more of a matte look, but you know, a lot of the other sunscreens that I offered already that do have a glow will work really well under makeup. The next one, this is an everyday sunscreen. Again, a very hard category. Now, this is just a sunscreen that I reach for every day. This is one for me that works really well. It's also from Australia, so I understand that if you like, it's just not necessarily feasible for everyone, and there are so many alternatives to it. So I will try to offer a few alternatives as well. But for me, one that I really reach for every day that I can kind of manipulate in a lot of ways is this Naked Sundays. This is their Chemical One Collagen Glow Cream. It's just easy. Like, it's not matte, but it's not dewy. It goes on cleanly, like clearly, no cast. There's just something about it that's really enjoyable. Now, as I've said, like looking down at my desk, a million of these could also be your everyday one. So almost any of the sunscreens that are from Korea will work. Any of the mineral sunscreens that I mentioned, if you are a mineral kind of sunscreen girl or guy, those will work as well. So the everyday one is very hard, and I do understand that this is not like attainable to a lot of people because the shipping is going to cost an arm and a leg. So my other options for you, kind of depending on what you like, are going to be any of these. Of course, I have lots more too, but this is the Tula Mineral Magic. Very easy mineral sunscreen. Goes on so easily. My only qualm with it is they do have pretty low percentages, and I think it's only SPF 30, but it's still a great one to like if you're not going to be outside that long. The other one is another Korean beauty one. This is House Beauty of Joseon. This is one of their newer ones. It's spectacular. Again, so easy. And then the one that I'm almost done with, which is the Paula's Choice Ultra Light Daily Hydrating Fluid. This is very similar to the other really popular one. I can't remember the name. But basically, Paula's Choice are just all spectacular for the most part. So I would say that that's a good brand if that's something that you're interested in. And it's a little bit more mid-range. But again, everyday sunscreens, it's a very hard category. So if you do have more questions, you have more criteria, just let me know and I can help you out. Okay, drugstore. Now, I was looking at my sunscreen collection and I was like, you know what? I don't have a lot of sunscreens from the drugstore because I don't find them to be that great, especially mineral sunscreens. I do have a video here that has like my top mineral sunscreens, but that said, I would not reach for any of those over some of my other higher end, like more expensive mineral sunscreens. But from the drugstore, I think the brand that I would overall recommend is Black Girl Sunscreen, and in particular, the Black Girl Sunscreen Kids. This is SPF 50, it's a chemical sunscreen. It has no icing, I know for me and for many others. It's easy, it's hydrating, it's glowy. It's just pretty great for 10 bucks, I think it is. It's also 3 fluid ounces. Like, you can't go wrong if you just want something easy or for the whole family or for your body. The Black Girl Sunscreen Kids is the best option. Okay, high end. What did I say for high end? I'm gonna pull out one that I've already talked about, and that's the Tatcha. It is really, truly spectacular. And I think for $60, I'm not going to go into depth too much about it, because if you do want to actually like see it applied, go check out this video. But it's really incredible. And I love that they have, what is it, 10% zinc oxide, and they do get a 50 SPF with PAs, with 4 PA. You know, there's some downsides, which I've already talked about, but if you really want to indulge, this is the one. Now, this category is hybrid. Hybrid sunscreens, obviously, well, maybe not obvious, but are a combination of chemical and mineral, or organic and inorganic sunscreens. I don't typically love them just because I find that like, I want it to be more like a chemical sunscreen and like less of the cast. And a lot of times they just feel like a mineral sunscreen, but I don't get the benefits of the chemical parts. So the one that I have found that is truly the most beautiful and has, I would say, almost no cast or a very light cast on me is the new Shiseido oil-free hyaluronic acid one. Look at these, they're so adorable. I don't know, I can't get enough. Even though they look small, it's the normal 50 milliliters. But this one, it has a slight tint to it, and I think that is why it works for me. But I also find that it's easier to apply because it's not as heavy as some other hybrid ones, and you can really do thin layers so that you don't get the like chalkiness from the zinc oxide. It's expensive because it's Shiseido, but I think if you are a lover of hybrid sunscreens, this one so far is the best one that I found. Okay, now this category is a little maybe like repetitive, but I wanted to do invisible. So there are two options here. One I've already talked about, the unseen sunscreen. This is truly invisible, and it also has the best dry down out of some of my other invisible sunscreens, so it doesn't feel too greasy on my face. But the one I prefer over that is actually the Glossier one. I don't have it anymore because I ran out, and it's expensive and small. So if money weren't an issue, I would probably repurchase it. But that one is truly one of the most enjoyable sunscreens to put on. Absolutely clear, dries down, doesn't leave your face matte or glowy, just kind of in between. It's a beautiful option. I just wish it came in more than 1 fluid ounce because I used it so quickly. Okay, and our last category is tinted. Now, I've already talked about so many tinted ones. So we have like all of the CoTz ones, the Bliss, the Tatcha. I mean, I'm looking at my list here and there's so many, but I do have 2 other options for you. And these are, again, this is my collection. This is what I have. I don't have every sunscreen in the world, but I have tried quite a few. And there are some that I will be reviewing and they did not make this list, but I kind of reach for these 2 when I want a very nice tinted sunscreen. And usually tinted sunscreens are because they're mineral. So both of these are mineral. This is all the Naked Sundays. This is from Australia. So again, if you're not willing to purchase that and like pay the shipping, that's fine. I get that. The Tula would be a great option in kind of replacement for this. They're not the same. This is more fluid, a little bit more glowy. This is a little bit more matte, but they both just go on so easily. Obviously, I said the CoTz ones are great. The Ultraviolet, it's a brand from Australia, is an absolutely spectacular brand. And the only reason I didn't pretty much mention it with all of these is because they're even harder to get than this one. So I just, like, my audience is mainly EU, Canada, and America. So I don't know. You know, I think you know Ultraviolet, the brand, is a great brand. And I stand by all of their products. I love them all. But I didn't feel like it would be fair to my American audience. So these are just 2 options. Again, I mentioned quite a few others. It does depend. It's not like a cut and dry. It's not like what's your favorite soda and you just list one. It's not like that. There's so many factors. So I hope this kind of helps. I hope it helps you think about sunscreens in your own life. You don't have to have just one sunscreen. And I know that's a luxury to have more than one, but it's also useful because sometimes you'll realize like this one's just not working for me at the moment. But it's not that it's bad. It's just not working for your skin or the weather, whatever. So my suggestion is always to find a few different ones that you can pull out depending on where you are, what the weather's like, all those kinds of things. And then you'll get into a routine and you'll just switch them out just like you do with your clothes. So I'm tired of talking. I'm sure you're tired of listening if you're still here, but I do appreciate you watching and I am so happy to have made this, and then hopefully I'll keep it updated and we'll do another one in a year. So until then, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.